Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I am so excited for this episode today. Before I introduce our guest, here's a quote just for this episode. You must understand the following. In order to master a field, you must love the subject and feel a profound connection to it. Your interest must transcend the field itself and border on the religious. Robert Greene, Mastery. Our guest today is unequivocally a master of their craft. They come from a line of those that have been masters from emigrating from other country in Italy to building the churches and cathedrals and things that go way beyond, my brain and some of our listeners in Newark, New Jersey, to building bridges and all sorts of the things that we take for granted, driving across every day to a new thing that I'm learning being a new homeowner, hardscapes and outdoor, uh, you know, community areas, essentially, the things that we may overlook when we're spending time with our family, our relatives, but we know when there isn't mastery, when those things aren't detailed. We know this person founded the Anthony Group, and since they were probably 7, 8, 9 years old, working on different jobs and going in law and business, all the way to what they do today with their family and their son, who I've gotten to meet some of the team. Just an all around great example of culture and growth and attention to detail and mastery. I should probably introduce them by now. Anthony Mann Jr. Thanks for coming on the show. Finally, you're a hard guy to track down.
That was some intro. Wow. Jay, thank you for having me, my man. You've been an inspiration and I appreciate you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for building things
Hey,
and
we love we
constructing
love to
things.
work with our hands.
Now, I am curious right away, like how did your grandfather came from Italy and started in masonry? Is that correct?
So yeah, he was a union mason, stonemason. So he built a lot of the churches down in Newark, New Jersey, Elizabeth. He was a craftsman. His nickname was X because he was an unequivalent expert.
Whoa, really?
Yes. And then he also had his own masonry company, I guess, after as he got older and retired. Um, Built some houses, did chimney work, stone work, and like if you weren't working fast enough, he was one of the guys that picked up a pick or a shovel and would throw it at you. Completely different than how I am. My father was kind of in the middle of that. He used to yell and scream a lot, but once in a while he would throw a tool. Oh,
Now, that type of work, how does that like what does that do to someone when they're working with their hands for that long? Well, what are some of the lessons that you think come from working with one's hands and building things that our audience can draw from?
it gives you an appreciation. One thing I like to do is drive down, any old city. I love to drive through and look at the architecture of these churches, or even not even the churches, but any building. And if you look at how things were built 100 years ago, it is completely
Hmm.
different than today. You don't find craftsmanship. So we have in our company now, we try details matters is one of the biggest core values we try and follow. That we are building things with integrity, building things how they used to last, not how things are being done today. And it really gives me a pleasure. Everybody says your grandfather would be proud, and that
Wow.
I don't remember my grandfather. Spent a lot of time with him. He took me everywhere. I was just pride and joy. I do not have any vivid. My grandmother, I have photographic memories in my head of things we did together. I wish I had that with my grandfather, but they said we were best friends, went everywhere.
Wow. The details matter piece. What about details have a relationship with the customer, the culture that you've created with your customers? I asked because I was preparing. you said how you were really focused on the customer. You were really focused on, and then shared that a lot of there's lifetime customers. So, what
Absolutely.
relationship do you think there is between the details, attention to detail?
As I've been building and growing, even since I was younger, the details were always something because that's what I've learned from my father and my grandfather. Um, if you take the time, if you work the details, if you do every job perfect, if you have to take it apart 3 times to get it perfect, your
Hmm.
customer's going to see that. Now they become the lifetime customer. When they become the lifetime customer, we don't market, we don't advertise. 50% of our clientele are return customers every year. I say our best customer works with us for 10 to 15 years. We do a small project and then we add on to that. We just keep adding on, adding on. And as they gain trust, these projects get bigger. They see what we do, or they move.
Wow.
They move, they go to a new home. We might have done a small sidewalk at their old home. But now, as they've grown their professions, they've moved into a bigger house. They've upgraded. Now they've got a pool. So hey, Anthony, we just got a new house. Could you stop by? Well, we went from doing a $6,000 job for them to now doing a two, three, $400,000 full backyard for them. And now, not only are we doing the details, also come into it when you get done with a project and you get a picture at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and your client is in their backyard that you built for them with their family, and they've got movie projectors up around their fire pit under their pavilion watching a movie. It's family. Our first core value is family first. So for my employees,
Wow.
for myself, everything is family first. That's number one. Details matter is number four.
Whoa.
Yes.
So, uh,
Employees. If an employee has something at home with their family, it's more important than work. If they have a softball game for their daughter, that's more important than work. If they don't even have to have a reason. If there's something with their family that needs attention, that's number one.
where does the emphasis come from? What makes that so important to the fabric of your company?
Well, I have to start off by starting this with something else here. Um, we never had culture in our company years ago. We didn't really did. I was a guy that was in the field working. Okay, my hands were dirty every day. I I went to work. I got up in the morning. I went to work and I came home. About 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I had a mindset change. Um, was introduced to some new friends and people and mentors, and one of the first calls I did was on culture. I've been working on culture since that day, and I will not stop working on the culture of the
Wow.
company. But as we were building our core values, we said to ourselves, "What's the most important thing in my life?" And I said, "Family." So we came with family first. Also, a lot of my guys, they've got young kids. I made it. I never missed one of my son's sporting events was when he was growing up. I coached a lot of them, but I never missed an event. It was something that I wanted. That it was the family part of it. So I don't want my employees. I want them to have. I don't want them in 20 years for their kids to say my father or my mother wasn't there because they were working all the time. I wanted them to be able to be with their family. So if you have to leave at 2 o'clock to get to your daughter's softball game or your son's football game, go. We'll work. We'll figure it out. We'll move guys around. We can do that. We're flexible. So family first is just kind of the key. I think everything. If you build that first core value and the culture around family first, that you're creating an environment where people respect employees want to be there. Everybody talks about how, oh, I can't find employees. I can't find employees. We've got some of the best employees in the business. Um, we do the right thing for them.
Have you found that they have you found that people try to figure out how to get their work done to do that so they're not taking advantage? Like,
Yes.
I'm curious how that, yeah, yeah. Can you unpack that a little bit?
So
People, there's buy-in almost like,
they're certain. So if it's a softball game and they got to leave at 3, they come in at 6. But now, if they get up in the morning and their daughter's sick, there is no planning, or so they might say, hey, they might come in on a Saturday and do something, but I don't. It's not required. Like if they know it's a game and they can come in the hour early, we appreciate that. But if it's your daughter sick and your wife has to work and you have to stay home, listen, there's you you have to make that work. Um, Happy employees make for profitable companies, and at the end of the day, we're in business to make a profit.
Hmm.
So we have to, these guys and ladies that are in our organization, they're the most important thing to us.
Wow.
So however we can do it, I mean, TCS does this. You've heard Brian talk about that before. I mean, or the Pavement Group. They have an amazing culture. I've learned a lot from them, watching them what they do. But it's about family with them as well.
Hmm. If family was first, you said details was fourth,
Fourth,
fourth.
yeah,
What's two?
be respectful to team and clients.
Be respectful of the team and clients.
And that should be to I mean, it should just be respectful to everybody. But team and clients are our two biggest focuses, because the team works with each other all day and we work with our client every day.
If I was going to represent the anti-value of that or the opposite, how would I do
Oh boy. Um,
it? So I'm going to
wow.
break the value. What are some examples in your world of somebody not living that value?
Um, Not being respectful to the client. If they're having a bad day and the client says something, them snapping at them or giving them a nasty answer. Teammates bickering with each other. Um, we just want people to be respectful. So, don't do the right thing. Um, don't leave, like if someone was to leave garbage all over a site, that would be an instance. No, be respectful to the client. Pick up the garbage at the end of the night. Put it in the dumpster. Put it in a trash bag. Bring it back to our shop. We have dumpsters there to put it in. Make sure So don't leave garbage around. Don't talk smack on teammates or the client. Just you know be respectful.
Hmm.
It's simple. It's so easy to do.
How do people forget?
But that goes to the details too, because you have to have details when when you're doing those things. So picking up the garbage, that's a detail. So yeah,
Hmm.
details matter, but that's also a respect. A lot of our core values will roll into each other.
Hmm. What's number three?
Um, Accountability and accept responsibility. So if you mess something up, okay, let's fix it. Own up to it and let's say, hey, I messed this wall, I messed this little paver area up. We got to pick it. Don't leave it. Pick it up, fix it, and move on. In our other company, our snow company, if you miss an account or you miss a sidewalk, don't say, oh, I did that and blow it off. No, hey, I missed it. Own up to it. Go out there and get it done. If you don't have the accountability, everything else kind of goes to the wayside.
Hmm.
And that's not an easy one because people like to make excuses. People like to not take the accountability and blame it on other people. And this is probably our hardest one in the company because we do have, up to 20 employees where it's very easy to blame somebody else for something and you look like the hero. Um, I make sure I set the example. When I mess up, I tell them, hey guys, this is on me. Even though somebody did something wrong, this is on me for not explaining it right, or this is on me for not following up. This is for me for not teaching. I'm the leader. I need to take responsibility.
Hmm. When so it was Carol that told you to make sure you own the company.
Yeah.
You
So my
remember that
mother, I
conversation?
can't believe you remember all of this. You remember about my grandfather, about my mom. So when I was a little kid, yeah, my mother, and I call my mom Carol because we used to say mom, she wouldn't respond. We said, Carol, she go, what? So yeah, she said, you can be anything you want
Yeah.
in this world. You can be a garbage man, own the company. Now, my father wasn't a bit. He was a union guy. Now they also had they built homes together, and he named the company after her.
Wow.
So it was called Carrie Homes, for Carol. Um, and they built a couple houses together, and It was stressful growing up because he worked, many hours, wasn't around a lot, but my family had everything we needed. He was a provider, my father. Um,
Hmm.
Me and my mother spent a lot of time together growing up. She took me to all my sporting events. She took me here, there, used to go on a lot of vacations with her. And she also used to put me on a flight. This was back, in the 80s when you get on an airplane, everybody was smoking cigarettes, and she just shipped me down to Florida. Um, I get off the plane, my grandmother would be there, and I'd hang out for a couple of weeks. I was just down in Florida and over right after Easter, and we were talking about that. Oh yeah, you just used to throw me on the plane and ship me down to Nana.
That's funny. So,
So,
yeah, how long was he in the union?
oh, 50 years,
Whoa.
45 years. Well, no, yeah, no, it had to be for at least 40, maybe somewhere between 40 and 50. I'm not positive. Um, and he started off as he was in the army and he was a mechanic on tanks and the heavy equipment. So when he got out, he was in the operating engineers. He was a diesel mechanic and then moved up to being a union boss.
When you were young, did you foresee yourself doing anything outside of construction? Because you had that lawn business, right?
Yeah. So when I was 8, 9 years old, I was started cutting the neighbors' yards. Um, and I always worked with my dad. Like, so my dad worked his job, but he also did all this. So he had his own truck. There was like a mechanic's truck. So on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, my father was a hustler. It's all he did was work, provide for the family. Um, I would go with him and we would work on stuff, and he taught me. So I can turn wrenches if I want, but it's not something I want to do. So I was just cutting grass, neighbors' houses, and then I was going to go to school, the University of New Haven, to play football, but I already had my business going. So I opted to go to a local college and get a degree in landscape design and construction management.
Landscape design.
Um, and the construction management is more what was valuable to me out of that. Um, I was working, so I scheduled my classes Tuesday, Thursday, so I was able to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I had the afternoons and weekends also. Um, and some of my classes, it was only one class on a Tuesday or Thursday. So, but I went and I did all the classes for the program part of it and got straight A's, had a 4.0 GPA.
Wow.
And I had to start taking those core classes, the math, the Spanish, the English. And I'm like, I don't want to be here. I need to be making money. And it's like, so my GPA went from a 4.0 right down and barely got by. Um, but it was a good experience. Then at about 21, my father said to me, you're not, this is too difficult. You're struggling, this and that. And I said, well, I'm young, I'm supposed to struggle. And he got me into the union, and I went into the union for a couple of years. So ended up becoming a crane operator. But I was doing a side job on a Saturday. Of course, I was always still working in my car. It's a work ethic my father taught me. And
Wow.
I was doing a side job on a Saturday and so the bands that go around toys and stuff, like the plastic bands, you have to take off the strapping.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have them around the pallets of pavers, and I was putting them into a garbage bag, and it swung back and went into my eye. Had to have a corneal transplant done. So that was
Were you
in.
scared?
Actually, at first, I just thought I had something in my eye. I didn't know what. So I actually, like, said to one of my guys, I'm like, "Hey, is there something in my eye?" And they're like, "No." Well, what happened is when I was cutting this with the cutters, I never went all the way through, so a little piece was hanging off. When it went in, it broke off inside my eye. So I'm like, oh, I just got something in my eye. Well, about 3 hours later, I was on my way back down to Hoboken, and I was on Route 80, and the sun was coming right into my eye, and
Oh,
the pain got bad. So I ended up getting down there and going to the hospital, and it took the eye guy like, so this was a Saturday because no one's around. Took the eye guy like hours to get there. The room was dirty; they had to clean it all. Gets me and comes out, find out that this piece was stuck off in my eye. Um, so I wake up the next morning and they see it. And then I called my parents and I'm like, stay down in Florida. You don't need to come up. My sister came down to the hospital and we had my mother was friends with, one of the local doctors or whatever. We called him and it's like, oh, let me call the best eye doctor around right in town. So he said, get him out of that hospital, get him up to me. I'll be at my office in an hour. This is a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning.
holy.
Go into his office. takes everything out, cleans it up, stitches up right across the center of my eye, stitches. Um, Sends me down to West Orange to the best transplant doctor on the East Coast, and got my transplant done. But they took my crane license from me because it's basically like a DOT card for like a CDL, or so they took my, and it's all digital with the computers at that time. So they right away, boom, license gone. It was hard to go back. When it first happened, I couldn't hold grade with the machines anymore. And, they let me run some elevators and do some stuff like that for a little bit. But I was always destined to be an entrepreneur. So and I still had always had two guys working. I had to. So I got back into that and, went with that for a few years. And then that's when I, started to grow up and had my son, who is my blessing, my greatest achievement, my rock. He's my everything.
Hmm.
And now he's 18 and he is very, very involved in the business. And I'm building now. Everything I build now is for him. Um, you've met him. He's just, I've never had to raise my voice at him growing up, never had to discipline him. I was very fortunate. Elizabeth became a stay-at-home mom with him. He never took the school bus to school. She's a very calm, amazing woman, and she really, really dialed it in with him, and gave him these opportunities.
Hmm.
So, and now he's just amazing. He's just an amazing kid, and I am blessed.
What have you learned from him?
What's that?
What have you learned from him?
To be stoic. Um, I would get excited pretty easily. And he sat me down one day and he said, "Dad, you got to remain stoic." And I looked at him and I said, "How do you even know what that word means? Like, you're 17 years old." Um, but he's
Oh,
been following in my journey with 75 Hard, and he was reading books. And he read a book on staying stoic, and he gave it to me after that. And he said, "Here, why don't you read this book?"
was it Ryan Holiday?
I think so. I don't. I haven't read it yet. I have two. I have a pile that, and I put, when people give me a new one, I put it on the pile and I go from the bottom.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Wow. You mentioned that your mother called this doctor, um, and then they met on Sunday morning. Where do you think you'd be with that eye had that doctor not come through on Sunday morning?
I'd probably have a glass eye, and if we were at the bar, I would take it out and roll it down the bar to you.
Man, that makes me think of like the power of relationships.
Oh, 100%. I'm very fortunate. Very, very fortunate.
Hmm. Wow. Uh, for the really selfishly, I want to understand a bit more about what hardscaping is and what that does for a home. Introduce as if I'm, uh, uh, insert what you do for dummies. I'm the dummy,
All right.
right? So like sidewalks, like all that goes beyond me.
So I'm going to come over to my new client. You're going to be my new client
Yes, sir.
or potential client. You call me for an estimate. We come over. First thing we're going to look at is your drainage. So we're going to look at your roof drains coming down off the house. Are they piped underground or are they just coming out? We're going to look at pitches where the control lesson my father taught me: control the water, you control the project.
Wow.
So you don't want to go build a patio and then have it too low, have all this rainwater. Well, now you've just invested $20,000 and it's worthless because it's underwater. So the first thing we're doing is we're looking at the site and evaluating the site to make sure what you want we can do, or what do we have to do to correct it to make it work for you. Um, so hardscaping been around hundreds of years over in Europe. Was introduced, pavers, concrete paving stones were introduced, North America, mid 80s, early 80s. And they they have changed so much. We started with these small little pavers. Now we have giant slabs, 2 foot by 3 foot slab pavers, where we had little 4.5 by 9s when they started. So Then I'm going to ask you, what are you looking to do at your home? You're going to say, you know what, we want to put a pool in. We want to put an outdoor kitchen in, patios, but we want the one patio raised over here. So now our next step we're going to do is start doing some sketching and drawing. And we're going to draw this project out, get it on paper, and then we're going to turn it into a 3D design. So you're going to get 3D pictures plus a 3D video. I'm going to put a person in the pool drinking a beer. I'm going to put burgers on the grill with the smoke coming up. You're going to get to live in your backyard before we even bring one piece of equipment there to start digging. Once you guys like the design, the same time we're kind of talking the numbers. Because listen, budgets are everything. We want to design to the budget. That's a key factor. You don't want to go spend time designing for somebody a $50,000 budget when they have a $10,000 or $50,000 project when they have a $10,000 budget. So we need to kind of establish where it's at. My favorite one is when I ask somebody their budget, they tell me the word value. What I don't have a budget. Show me the value you're going to give me.
Wow.
And that's the client I want to work for, because they respect what I'm building. They respect the details. They're not looking for the cheap guy, because if we're going to do it right, it's going to cost more than half the other guys out there doing it. Because nobody's doing it right, because it's a competition to the bottom on pricing. So
Really?
everybody's trying to figure out, it's getting bad in our market. And that's why we are so successful. We guarantee our work for over 5 years. On a hardscape, most 90% of the people are a year if they give a warranty.
What? I'm a homeowner. I'm listening to this. What? Why should it be in my attention to care about my? Is it backyards? Is it?
It's everything. It's backyards, front yards, side yards. We do it all. I mean, we commercial properties.
What inspires people to do this?
So a lot of times is they go to someone else's house and they see their backyard. And a lot of that's most of our work comes that way. We did a job. They had a party for Susie's birthday.
Wow.
And now, I just built a house. I just moved into a house. Who did this for you? Oh, Anthony. Well, we go over, we show them what the possibilities are in their backyard, and we create an environment for them to spend with their families. So COVID was people couldn't travel. So these backyard outdoor living projects, people are staying home. You hear that buzzword staycation. I don't like that word. I want to build a paradise for my client in their backyard, because I want them to go out and enjoy it and get the value out of it, not a staycation. COVID's over, staycations are over. You know what I mean? So we want to build a project for a lifetime. We're not looking to build something, walk away from it in 3 years, it start to fail. Because if you don't do pavers the right way, they're falling apart. You have to have the right foundation. It's like building a house.
I want to throw an idea. I want your feedback on this. So you're mentioning people competing to the bottom on price. I'm thinking, if let's say if everybody wants something, because now it's they saw somebody who really did it right, the demand might go up. So now more people are trying to compete for that demand, and then quality could go down.
Correct. And there's no licensing. There's no licensing. Like a plumber and electrician, they have licenses. We don't have that in our business. And that is, anybody, it's a very easy entry thing. But most of these smaller guys are doing the smaller sidewalks that we don't want to do. We're looking to do those full backyards where we're giving a family an entertainment area.
And if it's not done with the attention to detail, somebody would have to do it again and again or sooner. Like, could something like that last? If I stay in my home for 10 years or 12, 15 years.
If it's done right, it should last 30 years.
Really?
Yes. And I've seen projects fail after a year. It's all in the foundation, which you don't see. And that's the problem. People go and they say, okay, the pavers are $5, right? So why are you this amount? Well, it's what I'm putting underneath the ground you don't see. That's the most important part. One of the companies, the manufacturer, there's that song, It's All About the Bass. They use that as their, hey, the bass is the most important thing. And it is. It's the foundation. So any house, anything built on a strong, your culture built on a strong foundation is going to be great. Something built on a weak foundation is going to crumble.
Have you found that people are happy when they go to resell their home? There's added value.
So hardscaping is a 17.8% increase in sale value of a home. That's data released this year.
Really?
Landscaping can add up to 15%. Now, we don't do any landscaping unless it's for a project that we are doing. So if we're doing your whole backyard, we're going to design it and we're going to put, we don't want another contractor coming in and working around our work, messing something up that we did and then we having to fix it. We don't want them taking pictures and, saying, oh, I put the plants in, but look at all these pavers that are here. They don't say they didn't do it, but it looks like they did it. So then it puts competition, that gives competition to us. So we will, but if someone called me and asked me to put 20 bushes in, that's not what we do.
Why is it called hardscaping?
Because it's hard products. So it used to be called, it's the same as masonry, but there's no mortar. So we don't use mortar. So we basically use, and we're using a hybrid method. We use all clean stone. Imagine a set of railroad tracks, how they're built. They're built on 2 foot of clean stone. Do you ever see them moving from frost and heaving? No. You
Wow.
see roadways. They have, some people call it modified QP, but it's basically a 3/4 minus material. So it's got fines in it, holds water, water freezes, the roads buckle. We get potholes, we get dips in the road. Maybe you don't get that as much down in Florida. But up here in the Northeast, we get that. So with that clean stone, we're eliminating all the water. One of the problems with pavers back in the day was the sand that went under. Ants love to get into that bedding layer of sand. We use a chip stone now. Again, no moisture is able to held in there. They're angular, they lock. It's so much stronger. So in the last 8 years since we've switched to this, we have had 0 callbacks for settling. Where on other projects, we'd have a small section settle, it would rain a lot, and then everything would settle down. Clean stone's 95% compacted when you install it, 3/4 clean stone, 95. So we consolidate with our compactors. We're probably getting it to 98%, and we don't worry about settling, and that's why we're able to give that 5-year warranty.
So I'm thinking if I'm entertaining often, there's intangibles, but there's also tangibles. People are impressed, opportunities are created, business deals are done by my fire pit.
Yes. Oh, 100%. When a client, if I notice a client is a little hesitant to work with us, would you like to go see 3 of our jobs? One we did this year, one I did 5 years ago, and one I did 10 years ago. We
Whoa.
still have the relationships with our clients from 10 years ago, and we told that client the same thing. So they are very acceptable to letting someone come to their property and look at their project. Sold.
Wow. Make a
When
new
you show a
friend.
client a 10-year-old project that still looks perfect, sold.
Yeah, wow, it's amazing. Um, uh, um, a quick thing about the values piece. So there were 4 core values.
5.
What? Yeah. So we did attention to detail,
The
respect.
last one after details matter is be honest with yourself.
Wow. And what was the inspiration for that?
Made a couple bad decisions in my business career and my family career as growing up, as becoming an adult. So I said to myself, I'm going to be honest with myself, but I want everybody in our organization to be honest with themselves. And that was more of a personal value. And this is me being honest here. That's not easy to say what I just said. But it makes it easier for me to be a better man.
Wow.
I've had a lot of growth, self, business, family in the last 4 to 5 years. New friendships. I mean, us. Look at us. Like we've
Yeah.
created
Yes, sir.
this friendship, and I've surrounded myself with like-minded people. I've tried to become better a better person, a better servant to God, just
Wow.
any better community, better father. Um, we working on myself, and it's been a journey, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Hmm. Yeah, you have a shirt that says Arate. How did you get connected with them?
Um, this goes to my whole personal development change. This is where it all started. Um, had a friend introduce me to the 75 Hard program.
Wow.
Um, from there, learned who Andy Frisella was. Started listening to his podcast, heard about this Arate thing, and I signed up for it. Didn't hear anything for about 6 months. One morning, I wake up and I get an email, and it says, "You've been approved."
Wow.
Some of my best friends that I have right now are from Arate. One of my closest, newest friends is from Arate. Um, I've met you because it starts with Arate because of Top Contractor School. Brian Hess, that runs Top Contractor, is in Arate. A lot of the people in Top Contractor are people of Arate as well. Excellent.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
my whole journey started with 75 Hard, and I have 2 days till I start phase 2 on my second year of the Live Hard program. So I finished Live Hard last year, and I started it. So it's actually, I did it a little different. Most people, they do their first 75 days, then they do phase 1, and then they wait 30 days, they do phase 2, and then they wait all these months to do phase 3, which you have to finish on the day you started the year before. Well, I backloaded the program, did my 75 days, and then I kind of just did some of the program as I was going. I was just trying to live that lifestyle. Well, then I decided to do phase 1. Did phase 1, just finished 28 days ago. So I have 2 days between phase 1 and phase 2. Andy designed the program that you take off that month. You can't, because he wants you to slip up and fall. He wants to see if you have the integrity and the will, what you've learned, the skills that you learned to stay. So the last 30, 28 days, I've not taken one day off from the gym or exercising, outdoor cardio, and I've hashtagged it every day, no days off. It has a lot of meaning to me that I am sticking to this program. So now I start phase 2. I have 30 days of that. I have 2 weeks off, and I start phase 3, where I'll be half of phase 3. I will be traveling. I have a couple events to go to. One, I'll be with you out in Colorado.
Nice.
And actually have an event out in Missouri at First Form. And
Wow.
I have a event in Pittsburgh for a snow association that I'm in. And I fly from, I leave, I go to Missouri, go from Missouri to Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh to Colorado. And I don't know, at some point there, I'll be going either before or after going back down to Florida. But I will be on my phase 3 program the whole time. That is going to test me to the limits because of how productive I'm going to need to be, both with these events and with the program. So I'm excited for this test. I'm excited to finish the second year of Live Hard. I will do this every year now. It has changed the person that I am.
And what is Live Hard?
So Live Hard is 75 hard plus the 3 phases.
Got it. Okay.
And this is a program. It is not a challenge. It is not a get, quick diet thing. This is a mental health or a mental toughness program that, if done right, you will also lose weight. You will also become the best version of yourself. Um, it makes you do things repetitively and hard things. And then it stacks onto those during the phases, with cold showers, 2 workouts a day. So starts with 2 workouts a day. One has to be outdoors, a gallon of water, 10 pages of an entrepreneurial book, no alcohol or cheat meals, pick a diet and stick to it, and a progress pitch. That's 75 days. You miss one of those tasks in 75 days, you start over and you hold yourself accountable. There's nobody saying, hey, you did it. So this is This is a way to learn how to hold yourself accountable and become a better person. And that's kind of where we got our third core value is accountability.
Why is accountability important for an organization?
It's the only way to be successful. If people hold themselves accountable, the company, everything will run smoothly. When you have people not holding themselves accountable for something, that's when the cult you lose the culture. I feel everything revolves in a successful company around the culture that the leader has built.
Hmm.
And if people aren't holding themselves accountable, there is no, that takes away from the culture, which takes away from profits, which takes away from um, you know everything about your organization. And listen, I'm not perfect at this. This is all I'm still learning. I always tell people I'm on the second rung of a ladder, and I feel I just hit that second rung. It took me 5 years to get to the first rung. I'll never reach the top, but I'm not going to stop climbing that ladder and getting better and improving. And I have a lot of work to do. But
Hmm.
realizing that and understanding that helps me go every day.
Hmm. What motivates you or inspires you at this point in your career?
My son, leaving my son an empire, leaving him we've got a couple new companies lined up that we're in the middle of starting. One's going to take 3 to 5 years with all the approvals we need. Um, but that will be a legacy company for my son. Where if he wants to, he could sell that company. That'll be one company that will be sellable. But it'll also, if he doesn't want to, he can run that and it'll be easy. Now, listen, my son loves putting the pavers down, but I want better. I want to build a better life for him. And if he wants to continue to do that along with these other things that me and him are building together now,
Hmm.
that's even better.
Hey,
Uh,
what advice do you have for our listeners that are working with a parent work and working with a son? We'll start with the father to son, like the fathers that are listening to this that are working with their sons.
that your personal relationship is more important than the business or any dollar amount. That personal relationship, Anthony's my best friend. That's more important than me to any one of our companies. Our friendship, what me and him do together, we love to fish together. That's our big thing. We go bass fishing. We have our boat. We travel around, and we've been doing this since I have pictures of him in diapers fishing.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's our thing. So take the time to do the things that you guys enjoy as a family and not just worry about the business. Because what's going to happen, you're going to end up draining yourselves or fighting or arguing. Me and Anthony don't fight and we don't argue. He is such a good communicator. He's helped me communicate with him. I was never a good communicator. I used to shut down when there was conflict. I would shut down. One of the things I've been working on is my communication skills. And he has helped me with that because he is so brutally honest and communicative. Um, so it's really helped me become a better father having a son like him.
Yeah, what feedback would you give for sons that are listening to this that are in Anthony's shoes of how to look?
Open open your mouth, say something. Don't be scared because it's your father not to say anything. I've gotten some of the best advice from my son. Um, Communicate with your father. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what you want to do. Tell him your visions for
Wow.
what you want to do because you see a lot of companies. One or two things happens when a son and a father when a father leaves a company to a son. Either the son comes in and takes that company and 100x's it, or the son comes in and kills it. And I've seen it both.
Oh, wow.
So I put family before the business because I feel doing that he will 100x my company or our company.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, and yeah, I guess. Well, I want to know this too. What was your word for 2023?
consistency.
Do you feel that you're bearing the fruits of that now?
Yes. Yes. Um, 20, 21, 22 is when I took myself out of the field and stopped getting my hands dirty. One of the things taught by my mentors was work on the business, not in it. Um, that was hard for me. So I would catch myself in the field working. 23, 24, 23, two times I caught myself in the field working. Um, but you know what? Sometimes you got to help the team. The team needs your help. You jump in. Um,
Hmm.
24, I've been consistent with letting my people and my team do their jobs. So having Frank, my operations manager, putting more onto him and letting him handle the guys. I don't have much communications day to day with my team, my leadership team. I do. So my son Frank, Riley, and Jessica, who's in the office. So that's our leadership team. That's who I spend my time with now, and I let those guys delegate, run. Even Anthony sold his first two jobs and
Wow.
went on three estimates, sold two. Even the one we didn't get, the gentleman called me up and said, I just want to tell you how well spoken, educated um, your son was. Or he didn't even say son, he said, the young gentleman that came over here. And I said, thank you, that's my son. I said, I'm very blessed. This is great feedback. But I don't get that with other people that go out and do estimates. But Anthony is so polite, so well spoken, and he has the passion that I have. My biggest thing in this business is the passion and the passion for the industry.
Hmm.
I mentor about 6 or 7 young people in the industry. One of them who worked for me for many years and started his own company. One of them still in high school. Actually, two of them are still in high school. Um, I don't charge them. I do it for our industry. I want our industry to get better. Um, and that's something my son has picked up on. He has a big passion now for this industry. So I think that helps when he goes out. And, a lot of people tell me when I get a job is you have a passion for this, and the other guy didn't, and we can see that. So that is played into 23, 24 with the consistency part.
Hmm. What has Frank taught you?
That other people can do my job better than me. Put the right people in the right positions. Um, he's taught me that I need to be working on business development, and that he can handle his position. He can handle his job, and he can do a really good job at it. I used to be so he taught me not to micromanage. I used to be a very big micromanager, had to be involved in everything. Now, I only want to be involved if there's a problem or if there is something amazing that happened. I just want to hear about it because I'm proud of my team.
Wow.
Besides that, I've learned from him, I don't need to know everything. And
Hmm.
it took 2 or 3 years, and it took some hiccups and stuff in the road. And it even came to the point, well, I want to know everything. That you didn't do that right. Or listen, nobody's perfect. And he's learning this position. So he's learning by his mistakes. And I have to let him learn by his mistakes, not by me micromanaging.
Wow. The what was the what was that thought that said to you that led you to say, I want to be a part of the community of the top contractor? Like that's something that would be a valuable use of my time, and because time we're never getting back.
So was involved with Arte, and got a phone call one day from this guy named Brian Hess. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And I said, oh, wait a minute. Uh, he was in Andy Frisella's 75 hard book, and Brad Modric, my other friend, was just down at his event he had in Florida. And I'm like, yeah, let me take this call. And we started talking, and he says, "Hey, I've got this organization, and this is what I'm doing. I'm teaching you guys how to scale." Now, this at this point, he calls me. This is what I'm working on in my company. I'm trying to become better. I'm trying to scale. I'm trying to build culture. I'm trying to learn about core values and all the things that I don't know about business. Because remember, I was out in the field getting my hands dirty. Um, we talked, and we decided at the point, I said to myself, Brian, I can't afford this program right now. Yes, it seems amazing. It looks amazing. But it's just not where I'm at in my business path. Okay. So I kept following him though for the whole year and watching what he was doing and who was in there and what they were doing. And when you watch someone in his group go from here to here to here, Brian called me a year to the day.
Whoa.
He marked it on his calendar at the same exact time to the minute. It was 8:01. And I was sitting in the same parking spot at my office because I pull in at 8 o'clock. And I said, Brian, is this an omen? And I said, listen, I again, I'm closer, but I don't know if this is something that I can afford. But you know what? I said, after seeing what the people did, I bit the bullet and I did it. And it was one of the best decisions I've made in business. I've met some of my best friends in there. I've learned more about everything to do as being a contractor, from the culture, from the values, from organization charts to team building, um, processes, systems. I never had a system. We had a little notebook. We used to write stuff. Now we've got software because we were taught how to use it, how to do it, and what it can do to make the benefits as we grow. And with how fast and quick we've grown, we're implementing new systems and software every day. And I'm not a tech guy. So now my son is in charge of technology for the company. 18-year-old kid. Who's better than an 18-year-old kid to run the technology of a company? Um, because he's on the forefront. But then I forced myself during phase one, you have to add 3 tasks to your day. So every day I had 20 to 30 minutes of working and learning not just working it, learning something new on our software that we implemented. Because it forced me. Now I can go in and I can get the reports out instead of having to ask Anthony to do it. I can input an estimate now to a client in that. I can go in and change our overhead and our budget for the year. I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't want to know how to do any of that. But through this program, I forced myself to do it.
Wow.
So the people that I've met in Top Contractor, some of the best humans. Some of the best humans. We all have the same values, goals. It has been an experience that I can't describe. But if there's anybody listening who's looking for a mentor or wants to 100x their business, reach out to Brian. It's life-changing.
I can say that I've been in a lot of those rooms and you brighten it up, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting to be to be involved.
And the networking. You can talk to guys who have been where you are and you're struggling with something. You can go and talk to that person. If you want to talk to one of the smartest people in the room, we can come talk to you. If we want to talk God, faith, we can go talk to Mr. Calloway or his wife Lillian. Like, those are the people that impacted me. I was going through some stuff personally, and I sat down with Mr. Calloway, Keith Calloway Sr., down in Naples,
Wow.
and My whole perspective changed after that conversation. My life has gotten better every day since then. Um, he'll call me on the phone weeks later just to check in. Hey, Anthony, we talked. How's everything going? When you have people like that in your life, it changes your life. You can't buy those people. You can't hire those people, but you can join an organization that has brought those people together. Um, that's what TCS has done for me.
I want to be a customer of this hardscaping world. And let's say, I'm listening. I'm speaking literally and also figuratively for the audience. I'm listening. I might feel what you at one time felt with the school, like, that's beyond where I'm at right now mentally to wrap my head around it. Can anybody, are all like, where can I start? Right? What budget or does it depend on my home size? Does it, because maybe I want people to take away with a plan, right? How they can improve the
So
value of their home by 17.5% or whatever.
there's a couple of things. So first, you want to look at your budget. What can you afford? Um, we don't want you going broke by, we don't upsell. So if your budget is 30 grand, we're going to give you the most amount of value for 30 grand we can. Excuse me. Um, then we want to look at what are you going to use this space for? Is this for you and your family to go outside? Do your kids like to play? Do you need a big lawn area? Do we need to make a bigger lawn area and a smaller patio? Or do you entertain and have parties at your house with big families? And we need more patio space with the outdoor kitchen or the pergola so people can be in the shade. The older members of the family might want to be in the shade. Um, do we want a pizza oven? Do we want to do Sunday pizza as a family every Sunday in the summer? Go out and make a pizza together. Do we want to have the fire pit for the kids to, roast marshmallows around in the fall? Um, so we look at all of the need. What's the need that the homeowner has? So budget, their need, and then we look at the space. What value can we give them for the space that they have for the budget and for what their end goal is? What's their use for this? But then we also talk to them and we say, hey, let's start here first year and put the pergola up with a little patio. Next year, we can come in and add the pizza oven. The third year, let's make a sidewalk over to a bigger patio. Or, oh, you have a deck now. It's only got a 5-year lifespan left. So in 5 years, we're going to come in and take the deck off, put a raised patio up instead of wood. Now you have a lifetime out of concrete product instead of wood that's going to rot out on you. So a lot of different takeaways. You want to educate the client also on the material selection. We don't want to give them something that's dated. We don't want to give that. We want to match it. So we don't want to take a farmhouse and give them a modern project. We don't want to take a modern house and give them, we need to match the aesthetics of what we're building to the house, to the client. The personality of the client is huge. People don't think about that. Um, learn who your client is, learn what they like, go inside their home. We always say, hey, can I take a walk in your living room, dining room, kitchen? You learn a lot about somebody's style from that.
Wow.
I want to go in and look out the kitchen window. Maybe we're putting a water feature right outside that kitchen window or across the yard where the client's sitting there doing the dishes. They're looking out the window and looking at a water feature. Bring the outside inside out. We want to give them that kitchen outside so they can come out and enjoy it. Bring them outside into a warm area. Put the pergola up or the structure up and put some heaters underneath it. So this is now a 3-season room instead of just the summer. Gives the client more value if they could use it 3 months out of the year instead of out of 1 or 1.5. Correct?
Yeah.
So these are all things. Florida, we need to think about the bugs. You're down there now. We want a screen protection over your pool. You want to enjoy that at night with family. You don't want to get eaten up by the bugs. Um,
Are you
lot,
doing more in Florida?
what's that?
Are you doing more in Florida, or is that a
We're
goal?
just getting going. We've been spending the last year doing the paperwork, the research, licensing. Florida's got one of the most strict licensing, and the market is much much different than where I am. So we're hoping we have one job signed. We're waiting for a project to get done at that location before we can start. There's a building going up and some other work. As soon as that's done, we will be getting in there. So we're excited. That's a new venture for us. And besides the hardscaping, we do excavation and site work. We do concrete foundation. So for new homes, commercial projects, we just did our 2023 was a big year for us as far as growth. Um, we moved into the general contracting, ground up construction. So we just completed our first commercial ground up project that started with helping the client procure the property, getting the engineering, getting approvals through the town, to cutting the first tree down, to actually helping take the weights. And we built a gym,
Wow.
put the equipment in the gym, stage it, and put the weights on them, bringing in the new treadmills and setting them up, all the logisticals of it, gym flooring. It was a great project for us, a huge learning experience. Really excited to get onto our next one. We're in the permitting processes right now. And then on the third one that we're hopefully working with, we're in the design aspect of it. So,
Wow.
we got to keep that pipeline full. And this is a really new, exciting venture for us, that we're excited to see where that can go. We're also looking to build a couple houses in 24. So we've been actively seeking some property, and some probably do some spec homes. Start small, get our feet wet with it. We've done so much of the site work, prep, foundations of it. My father built homes. Why wouldn't I? I grew up around this stuff.
Wow.
So time to implement, time to grow. 25 is going to be the end of 24 and 25. Keep your eyes open, bro.
I'm challenging all the listeners to follow you, my friend. The Instagram that I see all these beautiful pictures all the time. What's
So
the
Anthony
Instagram?
Group, at Anthony Group Hardscapes.
Okay.
And then we also have at Anthony Winter Services, which is our commercial snow and ice management company. So you
Because
can
I
follow
see these
both
great
those.
pictures of the actual work. I challenge all our listeners to follow those Instagrams and to leave us a
Facebook as
review
well.
on Facebook. Go ahead.
Facebook as well, Anthony Group Hardscapes. And then Anthony Mann Jr. is my personal page, but I throw a lot of my work on there as well. And LinkedIn.
Please follow my friend Anthony and leave us a review of the Culture Matters podcast. Thank you again for coming, my brother.
Jay, thank you. You're a great friend. You're an inspiration. Um, Congratulations on your wedding, brother.
Got the ring.
Look at
Thank
that.
you.
Look at that. Me and Jenna go back, Cowboy Eagles, but I love you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for having me on. Can't wait to see you in the next couple months here in June. Spend some time with you, and best of luck with everything you're doing, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.